Hi guys, Look here and welcome to another FIFA 21 video, and today guys we're going to be revisiting what players that we're going to be seeing in the team of the season or the community team of the season, which is going to be kicking off this Friday. And it has been confirmed today by EA when you go into the loading screen of Ultimate Team that there will just only be 15 players this year for the community team season, as well as the EFL. And before we get into the 15 cards that we are very, very likely to be able to see for the community team of the season, let's cast our mind back to last year. This was the community team season last year. The EFL as well also had 20 players in packs this year. That will also be 15. So it looks to be that every single team or every single league for team this season will have less cards available in packs and SBCs and all that kind of stuff. Now it's going to be 15 players. Now what I think will be the case is, of those 15 players that will be voted in for the community team of the season, 11 of those will go into packs and the 4 other cards will go into SBCs and objectives. Now because EA don't really focus too much on objectives nowadays in terms of player objectives, I think it will be 1 player objective and 3 SBCs for the community team of the season, with 11 cards going into packs, all voted by the community. Now last year as well, something to kind of note, the community team of the season is not attacking focused. It's very defensively focused. For example, there are 3 goalkeepers in the community team season last year, which will 100% mean that there'll be 2 goalkeepers this year. Again, you just look at this, the starting 11 team. Busquets, Casemiro, Fernandinho, defensive midfielders, Godin, Piqué, Gomez, Mukiele, Pepe, centre-back, Grimaldo, a defender, Lucas Leiva, a defender. There aren't too many attacking options, and it will be done the same this year. It will be done the same this year. So we've got here the 15 card. I did a video earlier on this week explaining that what we would expect if it was going to be an 11-man team. There was 2 options. And if it was the full 20-man team that we've seen in previous years, that was the option that I was going with. But now with 15, I've been able to put together a very likely team that we can see based on the research that I did a few days ago, where basically I went and I went onto Twitter and I liked 200 people's votes within the FIFA community that had made their team of the season votes. As you can see here, I was going through, it took quite a few hours to be able to do it, by the way, but I really enjoyed actually doing it, going through all their votes. And collect, see like how popular, Areola and Schmeichel are there. Absolutely insane. But I was going through all of that and collecting my votes for them. So, I've been going through what the community have been doing, what you guys yourselves have been voting for. Now, listen, of course, not just 200 people have voted for this. The number obviously far greater exceeds that. It probably goes into 6 digits. But doing the 200 votes starts to give us an idea of what players that we can expect. And also, guys, before we show you the 15-man team, you have to remember that there's there's a restriction of 4 players maximum from every single league. So what I will say is that from the votes that I collected, the Premier League and the Bundesliga players were so popular in the voting that the Serie A, La Liga and Ligue 1 were completely nowhere for much of the voting. It has to be really said. So we'll first of all start off what we can expect for the goalkeeper. So as I said before, it's very likely to be 2 goalkeepers. That we don't want to check on that team, but 2. It would have been 3 goalkeepers. It was the full team like last year. Romero from Sociedad probably would have got in there. But it's likely to be 2 goalkeepers in Areola and Galashi. Now, if I go back to that research, Areola and Schmeichel were the 2 most popular goalkeepers based on 200 votes that I collected. The reason why it will not be these 2 in packs, despite them receiving the highest voted percentage share from my collected results, is because, of course, of the 4 players maximum to be included in the community team season from each league. EA will not use up 2 of the Premier League options in goalkeepers. The Premier League seems like the big kind of marquee players, that people really, really want to be able to get. Seems like the big boy players that everyone wants in their teams. They won't use 2 of those slots. Now, I know it's community voted, by the way, but listen, community voted, but obviously, EA will kind of like decide, although it's community voted and potentially, Schmeichel and Areola might receive their most community votes to the goalkeeping position. EA wouldn't use up the 2 most popular goalkeepers, from one league. They just won't do that. So what they'll do is they'll go with Areola and Galashi, who, to be fair, wasn't even that far behind Schmeichel. So they're very likely to be the 2 goalkeepers in packs. Areola from Fulham and Galashi from Leipzig. I can't see Romero or Muslera or any of the goalkeepers getting in because they simply did not receive many votes at all. So that'll be the 2 goalkeepers. For the defenders, I've gone with 6 defenders. Now, the reason why I've gone with 6 defenders is because, like I showed you from that screenshot last year, in last year for the team this season, it's very defensively minded. It doesn't focus on the attack. And look at this, Zaha and Dembele were the only real attacking cards last year. So that's, of course, something to think about. So, Wan-Bissaka, Alaba, Mukiele, Digne, Goldson, and Tagliafico. And you're probably wondering, why have Goldson and Tagliafico got into there? Well, it is because of that 4-player restriction from every single league. You can't have more than 4 players from any one league in the community team this season. And as I said before, the Premier League and the Bundesliga were so much dominated. Look at this for the defenders. All the way down to there are players either from the Bundesliga or from the Premier League. And I'm including Goldson here in that one because of the fact that, let me just add a D on there, because Baku received the exact same votes as him, and Baku plays for Wolfsburg. So you can see how popular the Premier League and the Bundesliga are, and it's the same situation with the goalkeepers, how popular they were, which means that players like Zuma and Sabsoba and James Justin will probably miss out just because that there was other Premier League and Bundesliga players that just did far better than them. So, for example, Alaba and Wan-Bissaka were included in well over half of people's teams, and Mukiele almost got to that mark. Goldson is the next player that is not represented from the Premier League or the Bundesliga that made it in with 18.5%, and then Tagliafico is 17%. They're both from the SPFL and the Eredivisie respectively, so they will get in. It's very likely that they will get in. Now, will they be available in packs? Will they be in objectives or SBCs? I do not know, but they should be included in the 15-man team. Getting into the midfielders, Freddie Valverde received, out of all the 200 votes that I collected, he received the highest voting percentage of 59% of people's teams that it was included in, based on 200 people's votes, which is insane. And Ndombele, Chiesa, and Nkunku, Holberg. Once again, it's still very, there's 2 Premier League representatives there, hilariously from Spurs, and then also another Leipzig player. So for the midfield, this is what I've gone with. I've gone with Valverde, Chiesa, Zielinski, and Marino. So if we go back, because of course you have to take into account the maximum 4 players from the Premier League and the Bundesliga. So once the defence and the goalkeeper are done, because EA will not ignore players like Wan-Bissaka, Digne, Areola, because they received so much votes, even just based on the 200 that I'd done. There's already 3 Premier League players boxed off. I can only go with 1 more Premier League player. And for the Bundesliga, I've already boxed off 3 Bundesliga players in Gulaschi, Alaba, and Mukiele. So what I've done is I've gone with Valverde from La Liga. He will get in because of how much support he's received, and there obviously isn't hardly any support on Mariano from has it, despite only getting 10% in votes from the 200 that I'd done. He's likely to get in there, although players like Højbjerg and Ndombele and Nkunku got good percentage votes. They won't get in there because they're going to be one, or it's very unlikely that they will get in there because EA will want a player from the Bundesliga and they'll want a player from the Premier League because there's big players from those leagues as well. They'll want attacking players from those leagues, like Zaha last year, for example. They want a big Premier League attack from the community teams. They want people to buy packs. Now, to be fair, people might want to buy packs with a team which is then Ndombele, but I think that Mariano stands a very good chance to be able to get in there. Zielinski as well, being from the Serie A. Chiesa will get in there, got a lot of support. They have to go with players from different leagues, which stands me to think that, yes, because the Serie A did well in the midfield, it didn't do well at all in goalkeeper, defending, or attacking. Not very well at all. So that's why Zielinski and Chiesa are in extremely good positions to get included. And Mariano's, despite only saving 10%, they will want a couple of representatives from La Liga. And La Liga, once again, as I said before, did very, very poor in goalkeeping, defending, and attacking. The Serie A and La Liga only did well in the midfield section, which is why I think a lot of their options will be used up there in 2 Serie A midfielders and 2 and 2 La Liga midfielders. And then when we get to the attack, the one and only player from Ligue 1 that will be in there will be Maurice Keane. I've then gone with Leon Bailey from Leverkusen and Harvey Barnes from Leicester. And let's go to the attacking options. Again, Maurice Keane will be in there. Just on the 200 votes that I got, he was in over half of people's teams. Maurice Keane will get a team of season cards. Then Harvey Barnes and Harvey Barnes and Leon Bailey follow on 39% and 30%. Pretty massive share from just 200 votes. You have Antonio on 30%. That 9% gap already with Barnes is pretty big. Enough to convince me, even though my research is only on 200 votes, it's enough to convince me that a lot more people out of a sample of hundreds of thousands of votes, a lot more people would have gone with Harvey Barnes over on Antonio. Zapata then would make his way on 17%. If it was a team of 20 players, Zapata would be in there, no doubt about it. But when we're talking about a team of 15 players only, and the fact that EA tends to not to like go for that many attackers in the community team of the season, Zapata, Edouard, Armstrong, and Daka, who had a chance to move like a full 20-man team of maybe one of those cards getting in there. With a 15-man team, they got no chance, they won't be in there. It will be focusing on these 4 players. And I think Antonio, with that 8% gap already to Bailey, will just get dropped. And so this will be the 15-man team. And it fits within the restrictions or the rules in place of the 4 Premier League players in Areola, Wan-Bissaka, Digne, and Harvey Barnes. It fits in with the 4 players of the Bundesliga in Leon Bailey, in David Alaba, in Mukiele, and Galashki as well. With a few players from some of the more off leagues in Tagliafico and Goldson, from the Eredivisie and from the SPFL, and then a couple players each from La Liga and from the Serie A, in which they only really got support in the midfield options. So, you know, if I look at the attackers there, you know, Zapata was you know, there's no one from the Liga there at all. You know, Zapata from the Serie A on 17%, not that much. You know, the midfield, Mariano, Zielinski, Chiesa, and Valverde, that was the only part that they did relatively well. Here on this list, Serie A and the Liga, they're nowhere to be seen. Once more on this list, Romero got in with 9%, only 9% of the votes. And then you look at Cragno, you know, people like Musiala and Benitez from the Turkish League and from Ligue 1 received more votes than Cragno from Calgary, who only got 4 votes out of 200. So the Serie A and the midfield, so the Serie A and the Liga is only going to be supported in the midfield. So so that's everything, guys. That is very likely to be the 15-man team that you know that we get for team of the season, for the community team of the season. As I said before, I think it will be 11 of those cards in packs, and then the other cards will then be available, in my opinion, in 3 in SBCs and then 1 in objectives. I think Goldson will be an objective card. I think in terms of SBCs, we can expect probably the likes of Zielinski, Leon Bailey, and maybe Galashki as well. That's what I think. They won't put Maurice Keane, they won't put Valverde or Wan-Bissaka or Alaba or Mukiele or players like that. They won't put them into SBCs, not a chance. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. And I look forward to seeing the communities using the course on Friday. It should be very, very fun. Looking forward to getting like a lot of the reviews out for them as well. But yeah, that does finish this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.